if you want, if you,
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, yes, in the desert, we get these big monsoons, which are super fun, um, and haboobs, which are huge dust storms. And then every once in a while, in these huge thunderstorms, you get these little, they're called micro bursts, which is just like this insanely powerful storm within a storm. There's a very quick little microburst that just hammers things. So I am in my new office last week. Love it. It's been great. I'm in there yesterday. I finished my morning work and I'm gonna go to the gym. So I leave the house and try to leave the office, get in the car. And I get maybe outside of the parking lot and 20 feet. And I see a wall of water coming at me. And if, I'm just like, okay, here we go. This is gonna be crazy. Thinking just monsoon coming, whatever. And it starts like sheets of rain first, and then the wind hits me, and the car in front of me is like 20 yards in front of me, stops in the middle of the street. And so I like hit my brakes, and the wall of water keeps coming, and it just completely engulfs my car. I can't see the front of my hood. It's totally like blacked out from the rain, and then the it starts hailing, and so it is pounding my car with like, not huge hail, maybe size of marbles. And the wind, we had gusts 70, 80 miles an hour. It was like lifting the car off the ground, and I'm getting pounded by hail. It was so loud. I actually got a little bit scared, like the windshield might break or the car might flip over. And I was next to like power lines. And so I didn't want those to fall over, and there's some trees and stuff. Well, anyway, it ends. It was about, 10 minutes maybe. And I leave and I go to the gym. And as I'm driving, there are trees down everywhere, like in the street, everywhere. Well, I kind of go about the rest of my afternoon. The gym was closed, they lost power. I go to my house, which is being renovated right now. So we are staying at my mother-in-law's. I go over there to pick up some stuff, and there's flooding in the garage. There is water in the house because there's a little leak under the front door. So I got to clean all that up. I call my mom. My stepdad just had hip replacement surgery, so he can't really move, and he's also going for chemo at the moment. But he's kind of out, and his favorite thing is in the world is his lawn and keeping it meticulous. And they planted like 10 trees, and so I was like terrified that their trees were going to be uprooted. Luckily, none of them were, but they had this huge eucalyptus tree in the back, and this storm took out three or four massive branches. And one of them was leaning on the back retaining wall and like almost going to knock it over. So I had to go over there, get the ladder, saw the thing, take all these tree limbs down, and then pull one of the trees back up and stake it back down. Great. All that's great. And I take off to go back to the office because I got to finish work and prep for today and stuff. And I pull in there, and it looks like a hurricane or a tornado went through there. It tore the roof off of our office building. The craziest thing, so the whole parking lot was blocked off. There were fire trucks and ambulances. They had to, they were trying to get people out that might have been stuck in there. Luckily, no one was hurt. No one got stuck in there. It was fine. But and it was actually on the news later. There was a bunch of news cameras around. I had to go up in there, escorted by the fire department to get my computer and stuff out of there. Our office was fine, by the way. No flooding, no water, nothing. It was great. Um, but that's why I'm in my sister-in-law's house today because they went to Disney World or Disneyland. So I'm using their house. But um, they lost power and everything, and the roof was just there's like three or four buildings in this little industrial complex. The roof and some of those buildings completely torn off. The craziest thing is as I'm walking up, I look over as I'm walking up the stairs and I see where the roof had been torn off, and it landed directly in the parking spot where I was parked. The biggest chunk of roof. The car next to mine, completely crushed. If I would have left 15 seconds later, I would have been in my car when that roof came off and it would have landed directly on me. But I was in the street, parked, waiting it out. It was just like a visceral reminder that nothing is guaranteed and anything can happen in any moment. And I love those moments. Like it was scary. When I saw that, I was like, holy hell, that was close. Uh, and it just filled me with like, at first I was like angry, frustrated. Like now I can't get in my new office. Now I'm gonna do this. I gotta go help my mom. I'm never gonna get all this work done. But then I saw that and I was like, chill, bro. You could have died. Like just be grateful that you're alive. Your office was not ruined. All your equipment is fine. Right? Mom's house was not destroyed. You know, like everything is great. That was a wild storm and you survived. So be grateful. And then I was. And yeah. So that's what we've been dealing with over here. Storms and storms of all kinds, actually. It's the theme of 2025, the year of the storm. So good to see you. What did they call this weather event? So they actually they're calling it like it was like one of the outer arms of this Hurricane Patrice that hit land and came through Phoenix. And then that one little microburst happened to happen like exactly where my office is in this one small part of Phoenix in South Tempe. And it was not big. It was like a maybe a 10 block, 10 square blocks where it just like unleashed this insane wind, rain, hail for 10 minutes. And then the storm just continues on and that microburst is over. Some people were thinking it might have been a tornado because they kind of act the same, but nobody saw a tornado actually, come down. But they're a little bit similar. They just call it a microburst because it doesn't actually spin. And then we had another huge downpour because the next like arm of the hurricane kind of hit us and came through. So I don't know about any other areas like around Arizona, New Mexico, or Texas, or anything. I haven't even looked. I don't know if anything else got smacked like we did, but it was probably the most intense rain or thunderstorm, hurricane, whatever, the most intense thunderstorm I've ever seen that lasted 10 minutes.
Wow.
Like snowstorms are fun. Like a whiteout blizzard, that's fun as long as you don't get trapped. That's not fun. But this one was really intense. So I have a little more empathy for the Tornado Alley people that actually have to live with tornadoes. Holy smokes. Like that's terrifying. I would never want to live in Tornado Alley. And then we actually just finished watching the documentary on Netflix, the new one on Katrina. We just finished it a couple nights ago. But yeah, that was a crazy disaster. And not even just because of the hurricane, but because of the response or lack of response. And then when those levees broke, yikes. So, crazy experience. All overall, well, no harm, no foul for us, but pretty wild.
So, two things come to me, Brandon. One
Mhm.
is I'm sure you're doing your neuro drills. Or I support you to do your neuro drills.
Thank you.
And
I
two,
did some breath work. before we got on this call. So,
Okay. Two, in Jewish tradition, there's a blessing for when you go through something that's life-threatening and you make it to the other side.
mm,
And I'm just keep saying that. And if you'd like me to
mhm.
say it out loud, I can, but it's short.
Yeah,
But so,
I
okay. So
appreciate that.
yeah, so it's Baruch atah Adonai shegamlani kol tov. Humbly I stand before you today, blessed with the gift of life. And then the response is from the other people. So I said that in your name.
Mm.
Mishek malech kol tov, yigmalech kol tov selah. May the gracious one who guides your steps protect your way in peace. So may that be so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I appreciate that. That is the prevailing feeling after the immediate reaction subsided. And luckily, it was just me and not the whole family in the car. Yeah. Um, yeah. So that was my day yesterday. What's up with you guys? Anything pressing you want to talk about? Questions?
I'm I'm going with my client to Cognitive FX next in a week
Oh,
and a half to shadow her. So
hmm,
I've wanted to go there for myself, but I just couldn't handle that. But I'm really excited to go and see and learn about it. And they do a brain scan for people instead of doing the whole rigmarole, the whole program. So I'm going to do that. So we'll see if
okay.
they come up with anything.
What kind of
So
scan is it? You know?
the no fMRI something, their special super duper scan thing that they do that I don't know what it is.
Cool.
That they work mostly, Andy works there. Andy Clower works there. Do you do you know Andy?
Uh-uh. I don't think so.
No? He was in Z Health. He owned Fitness Evolved in Berkeley,
Hmm,
and he worked a lot with Matt before NLN.
hmm.
He was one of their master practitioners, but then he broke away from that and he works now there and does all sorts of neuro stuff for them. Um, and so they work
Follow.
mostly. Say that again.
Sorry, I just said I've followed them for quite a while,
Oh,
like
okay. So you know
social
about
media and stuff. So I watch all their stuff and I see a lot of their neuro stuff that seems like it's kind of come from the Z world, or otherwise, but it has kind of like that flavor to it. So I always wondered if they had somebody that had been through Cobb's stuff,
yeah.
um, with them.
Now you
Andy, his
Andy,
name or her name?
his name
Got it.
Andy Flower. Yeah. Um, so but it sounds like he's doing a lot of traveling now, like working with other people too. He said he was just in Dubai, so maybe there's interest in Dubai for neuro stuff, which is interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
yeah. So I'm really curious. I don't know exactly what they do with their scan. I will find out, but I know they work with mostly people who've had head injuries, head trauma, and people have said that I appear like I had, even though I don't recall anything in particular. So I've talked to them a few
Yeah.
times, and we'll see what they come up with.
Cool. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited to hear how that goes. I've always been
yeah,
very curious.
yeah. And my thought is they if they find something, I can work on. Yeah, soccer will do that. Yeah. Yeah, if they find something, I already have many tools and maybe I'll learn some more tools and hopefully I'll be
Yeah.
able to get a little better.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm
Yeah.
excited for it.
Yeah.
My brother actually just bought a QEEG machine for his company. He owns a
Mm.
mobile medical company,
What
and
is that?
QEEG, you know what an EEG is?
Oh,
Electroencephalography.
yeah. Yeah.
So it measures brain waves. Um, it's mobile, so I actually have it in my car right now because we want to be super safe because it's very expensive to not leave it in the office in case there was leaking, even though it's in like a ridiculous case. It's like bulletproof, and I don't think you could break into it if you had a huge drill. Well, anyway, it's probably pretty safe. But anyway, I've done a couple scans on myself with that technology, and
Mm.
it's cool. I um I haven't had the time or energy yet, but our plan is to my plan at least is to start using it possibly with my clients, but definitely with myself to start um, testing different drills,
Mm.
both before and after, doing brain scans before and after, and then also maybe during to see. I just, personally, I need to figure out how to read the raw data um, well to set all that up. And with the it costs like $50 every time you want to run a scan because of the equipment. You have to replace the little called socks, but the little
Mm. Nodes?
well, it has the nodes and then it has a conduction, like little, it's not foam, but it's some kind of material that you soak with saline so that it catches the conductivity,
Mm.
the conductivity for the nodes. And those, of course, are like $50 for a set of them, which maybe that'll be my first task is to find a cheaper way to do that. I'm sure there is. But anyway, that it's not the fMRI is like the gold standard for brain scans. And then the SPECT scan that the Amen Clinic
Oh.
does is also very good. Um,
How are those different?
um, I don't know
Mm.
exactly. I can't remember what SPECT stands for because the fMRI is magnetic resonance, uh, but the SPECT scan is like positron, electron, kind of like a PET scan.
Mm. He came and spoke at the Berlin conference I went to. He was a very dynamic speaker.
Amen,
Yeah.
Dr. Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's why. Yeah, he's done so well. I think
Yeah.
the scan is cool. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's missing a lot though. Like most of their protocol is, oh, here's your problem. Here's a supplement to fix it,
Yep. Yeah.
which, yeah, it's like a tiny piece of the pie, right? So the SPECT scan uses radioactive tracer injections, a single photon emission, computed tomography. So they inject a radioactive tracer in the bloodstream that accumulates in the active brain areas, and that's what they take a picture of. The fMRI uses a magnetic field to detect changes in blood oxygenation levels. So slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Kate.
Those are the capability differences, just in case anybody's interested.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the
And
fMRI is still, the resolution is a lot higher, but the SPECT scans cost less.
I'd be
So,
curious once you start playing with that QEEG. You gotta keep in mind the hemispheric differences for me when you're doing these.
yeah,
Be,
that's why I
be
need
my
to.
little nerd because Dr. Malolo talks about using them a lot, specifically for, calibrating hemisphericity on top of kind of the, top down way
Yeah,
to use it or think of it in neuro.
I'm trying to remember to ask about that. Also, cognitive FX. Yeah, like their take on that.
Yeah,
yeah, the
that'd be very cool.
QEEG's got specific electrodes in the middle and on the sides. So I know you can split it up and look at individual electrodes and the activity coming from them. So it'll be interesting as I dive deeper into it. We're mostly doing them on um, auto accident victims. Because my brother works in personal injury. So that's what we're doing most of these scans on. So that'll be interesting. But my personal or my own business use will be on my clients and athletes. So it'll be interesting also as we do more and more of them, kind of see differences, changes between regular population and athletes, between auto accident victims and, you know,
How great that you can overlap with that with him. Like,
yeah, yeah. We've been trying to figure out a way to work together for a while. Insurance gets in the way, but he has a neurologist in house now, so there's a possibility that we can start to open up work on his patients with neurotrainers under the supervision of a neurologist, and they can charge insurance for that. We're trying to figure that out, because then I can bring on a team of neurotrainers that might be able to do. I mean, ideally, we do it all virtually because we're a mobile medical company. It's like if you're in town, you can go to their house, or you just do it virtually if they're able. Um, Attorneys probably won't like it because we'll get them better results faster, so the bill stays small. Attorneys like big bills, because that means they get paid out more. So we'll see how that all works out. But sometimes you got to swim through the muck to get to the clear waters, right? uh, so what else is going on, Kate? How you doing?
I'm not sure. I fluctuate from feeling really shut down to really excited about some of the things that are going on in my brain,
Mm-hmm.
back to really shut down. The threat with this surgery, just I was not prepared for the amount of threat
Yeah.
this brought into my system. And even trying to manage it, take care of it, showering and having water hit it
Mm-hmm.
actually like makes me cry. It creates like a huge visceral response. Like it feels like somebody's stepping in my throat. I have a hard time breathing. Like it's really kind of I mean, amidst all of that, I'm really excited about other things, and but overall, like this is a little bit weird. I feel kind of a little bit disjointed. I
Yeah.
can get really excited when I get focused on like this project plan little world, and it's almost kind of dissociative because it's very creative. And
Mm-hmm.
then as soon as I get sort of pulled out of that, I like I kind of power down. Um,
Yeah.
So it's probably why I keep running to my little dissociative, creative, imaginary world right now. So I'm sure there'll be some benefits to that. But yeah, I'm struggling a little bit to just figure it all out.
Sure.
are you able to rest?
Um, yeah, I have been. I got sick too.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of really knocked me because I was already, recovering, and then this sort of not clearing like it is everybody else in the house, it's sort of hanging on to me. Um, so yeah, resting not been an issue, but just really like uber emotional,
Mm.
more so than not. And the resting part, um, it's also sort of created that like uh, retreat too, which it's a little confusing. So I mean, I'm fine. It's healing fine. It's going to take some time to get through the sensory stuff and the threat stuff. It's I'm trying to watch it as like a um like third person a little bit as much as I can, like to kind of keep that 30,000 foot view of like this is really interesting, right? Like I've had a lot of surgeries, I've had a lot of injuries, I've had a lot of pretty significant surgeries and injuries, and I've never had a reaction like this, right? To like anything. So I'm fortunate that I know what we know in this neuro world, and I have the lens of like threat, and that it is, like figuring out ways to work with it, and that I can even know what it is, right? Because I think I would feel pretty freaked out and jump to other conclusions if I didn't understand like the threat. But so I'm trying to keep the 30,000 foot view of like being curious about it and not getting really sucked into the really big like physical responses that it's provoking. So again, it, I feel like a lot of like I'm riding this little bit of a whoop, whoop kind of thing. But I mean, all in all, no complaints. I got my pathology back, and everything was benign, which is kind of not what we were expecting. So that is huge. Um, and I'm trying to hold on to like, I am obviously super grateful. And I keep reminding myself every time I have this really big, like visceral, uncontrollable reaction to like try to add that cognitive layer, right? It's just going to take some time. But so all in all, good. Just
Yeah, good.
going through the murky water, I guess. You just,
Yeah, I mean, you're going through it. Sounds like your mindset's on point. So
I'm trying.
yeah, keep pulling it back to that 30,000 foot view. That's that like observer kind of thing is a powerful perspective to continue with. I was thinking about your creative pursuits and the relief you get from that and flow states and spot on. Like when you're in flow, you get mad endorphins and dopamine and and then serotonin, like all these super powerful neurochemicals that are just like I don't know the word lubricating your brain. It's just a wash of good chemicals that long story short are threat reducing, right? And that feels amazing. So lean into that. Um, and you said I don't remember the words, but you said something around like, and I could be assuming, but alluding to like doing too much of that and how that could be a problem. It can. Like that's kind of like we talk about the dark side of flow. Um, the dark side of flow, gamblers, sex addicts, video game players that sit in their parents' basement for their entire life and do nothing but play video games. They're all flow addicts, but it's a destructive kind of flow. I don't know why my camera is not auto.
None of those sound very creative either.
Yeah, well, yes, that's true. That is true. you could argue in some video games there is a creative aspect, but you're generally right on. And they're just seeking the high of flow states. So, but she makes a good delineation there that that kind of creative enjoyment that you get from flow, there is a dissociative part of it because there are areas of your brain that literally shut down, and part of those areas are in the prefrontal cortex that are involved with self-referential thinking and my sense of self, and the tempoparietal junction, which is where your um, your body maps live. So you literally do disconnect from your body. And sometimes that's not a bad thing, right? In this case, when you're in your body, you're dealing with a lot of threat. So in a little bit of an escape from that is just relief. And you get a wash of all these positive chemicals, which help your mindset and your mental health, which actually help you recover by lowering threat, strengthening connections in the brain that are positive and move you towards something positive. Right. So these are all positive things. So I'm saying go ahead, dissociate. Okay.
I
Find some flow.
I have probably said it at least a dozen times before. Yeah, I don't have the negative connotation with dissociation. Like, mm,
It's just a defense
maybe there
mechanism.
is.
Yeah.
It's been my saving grace,
Yeah.
truly. And sometimes it's my best friend. Like, I really look at it as minimum effective dose. Sometimes
Yeah.
um, it's a way to tap out when stuff's too much,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So yeah, it's been in it, another part of this I haven't played. Again, that 30,000 foot view. It's interesting. Like, I was always a super creative person. Like, I always wanted to be drawing, crafting, art, doing. And I said after concussion, I felt like that part of me was gone. Like, I didn't feel like I that got that back. And part of it is because it got ripped away because I couldn't do the small tasks. I literally couldn't. I had convergence insufficiency and all sorts of problems with my eyes. So I couldn't focus on, I couldn't crochet, I couldn't draw, I couldn't paint, right? I couldn't converge. And I felt like after that I got that ability back, I was like, wow, I don't have the interest in these things like I did anymore. And I thought it was like concussion. I hit my head and something got rewired, right? And I'm realized diving back into it. Sorry, guys, I lost my microphone, so hopefully you can still hear me. I'm realizing in these last several weeks and diving back into that, and that is like all coming back to me now. Like, I want to go grab my crochet hooks and my yarn, but I'm realizing for me anyway, I think the connection is like I was doing other things and I wasn't feeling like in the state that I'm in now. And now I'm reverting back to that sort of dissociative patterning rather than like wanting to get on the calls, wanting to be present on the videos, wanting to engage. So it's interesting to like to just sort of see it and sort of just try to just like gather information without making too many conclusions or like a any kind of narrative about it and just be like, oh, that's interesting how I really thought that was gone. And I really thought like it was a result of like, huh, I just got that one like knocked out of me. And I'm realizing now I maybe wasn't in as much of a need for using my tool. Right. So it's interesting to observe when stuff happens that you just didn't expect. And be like, oh, and have the like a little bit of capability to have a 30,000 foot view when I would have never had the capacity for that, you
And
know?
that might be the biggest saving grace of all, because that breeds the awareness around everything, the threat around the positives, around everything you're talking about with um, your creative pursuits, and coming back to them and what it means and all that. That's powerful. Like, that's so powerful. So um, and I love your thought process around that too, about approaching it without judgment. That's hugely powerful as well. Like, if you isn't the more you can be the observer with the 30,000 foot view and understand what's happening, and then apply your tools and your techniques for feeling relief or getting out of threat or whatever, um, when it's needed, when it's necessary, and when you want to, and then also allowing yourself to, you know, you can allow yourself to just rest and kind of feel crummy too. That's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh, That's a
I
little
know that's probably the hardest one, but
hard. It's the hardest one.
you can do that. That's okay, right? No judgment. Your your body's going through a lot, your body and your brain. All right, that's a very sensitive area, very sensitive. A lot going on, a lot tied to emotions and past, and we've talked a little about chakras and the voice, and all the emotional stuff connected to that. So continuing to give yourself some grace there is a great idea.
Continue to try. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Uh, cool. What else? I got about 3 more minutes with y'all before I got to go log into Matt's thing and teach.
Well, what the conversation reminds me of my mom and some qualities in her that I never thought of until recently that I really appreciate, and that she really accepts the way things are. Um, and like, right, and she's done many, many creative things in her life. And now she's not very mobile, and people keep telling her to go out and do stuff. And she's feeling like, I don't want to go out and do stuff. I'm just happy being here and having some quiet right now. And so she's been doing that. And then all of a sudden, the past few days, she's starting to talk about more things she wants to write about. But she just allowed herself, like, okay, I don't want to go out and do stuff, fine. And now things are bubbling up again that she's excited about. And it's been beautiful just to see how she accepts the ebb and flow of it. And the hardest part is like people telling her how to do it differently. And she's getting better at not taking that in as much. But it makes me think a little bit of what you're talking about, Kate, too, of being present with what is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to talk about your mom when you get back.
it
Yeah.
makes me think too. I don't know why exactly. I do, but it makes me think of like having kids and having triplets specifically.
Mm.
Anytime anybody has kids, which, Kate, do you remember when you had kids and everybody in your life told you how to raise your kids?
They don't stop,
Yeah,
Brandon. I mean,
yeah.
I realize you're probably hoping that that's going to end soon. No, let me just clear
Well,
that up for you right now.
well, I've said this many times before, but we are so blessed because we have triplets, and so you can tell me whatever you want, but it doesn't matter because we got triplets. So most parenting advice can just go right out one in one ear and right out the other, right? Because it's so different. But it makes me think of that because your experience is your experience. It's totally yours and individual to you. So all these people telling you how to do things and what to do, and you should be doing this, and don't rest, like get out there and move, or don't move, you should need to rest. Thank you. They're all well-meaning, I'm sure, and some of their advice might be amazing and helpful. But your best choice, your best course of action is to kind of lean into what you're feeling and really kind of just um, honor that.
That brings up a good topic for another time. The art of giving and receiving unsolicited advice.
Let's put a pin in that one for sure. For sure.
Perfect. All right, guys.
Good.
I gotta figure out why this. Oh, actually, now it's better again. It auto-focused. I gotta get logged into a different account so I can teach for Matt today. So I'm gonna go, but thank you guys. Great conversations as always. As always, good to see you.
We're glad you're here and glad you're safe and in one piece. And
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's all a blessing. So I'm grateful for it. Until next time, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.